Welcome to this brief video having a look at what is quality improvement. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to be talking to you about when you would use a QI approach, how does QI fit with other improvement approaches. I'll also introduce you very briefly to the model for improvement, and then at the end I'll show you what a QI project might look like in real life. So we know that life is messy. When we're undertaking any kind of improvement work, there are going to be a very few occasions where we can implement one change and that change will lead to better care provision and a satisfied patient. Life is just more complex than this and actually looks a little bit more like this. So what we will often have is a number of variables that will all influence an outcome, and therefore a single change will often not bring about the difference we're hoping to introduce. And in fact, life often looks something a little bit more like this. So what we will have is a range of variables which could be changing each day. These variables may be known or unknown, but they all make a problem knotty and complex. In these instances, the only way we're going to be able to bring about a better outcome is by bringing in a number of small changes. And these by themselves won't make much difference, but when added together may start to bring about better patient care. This is the strength and the beauty of a QI approach. So what QI aims to do is to try and address difficult, knotty, complex problems by introducing multiple small, manageable changes. And the cumulative effect of this is to solve the bigger problem. So a simple example of this would be a project which wants to reduce waiting times for first appointments. There are multiple reasons why it may take, for example, 18 weeks. And without one simple solution, the project will aim to tweak all parts of the process to gradually shift the waiting time down. The project will look at all of the different pinch points, from the referral letter to the MDT, to the process of allocating appointments, sending out appointment times, and so on. So one of the most important parts of this is that frontline staff and service users are involved. So this isn't an approach that involves designing changes around a big committee table. We talk about using your subject matter experts, and by this we mean those staff who live and breathe these issues, and they're empowered to introduce the changes they often already know are needed. So for the example project that I'm talking about, admin staff are going to be a crucial part of the referral and appointments process, and they're going to be an absolutely key part of your project team. We also know that an evaluation of the outcome of QI projects found that those projects that actively and meaningfully included service users in the project were more successful. So service user involvement and the voice of the service user is key to the QI approach. It ensures that the changes that we make are actually making improvement to patient care and their experience of that care. So how does QI fit with other improvement methods? Well, QI is one of the approaches you can use, and it sits alongside research, service evaluation, audit, and project management. The approach you use will depend on the question you're trying to answer. So if you have a complex problem and you want to test different approaches to solving that problem, then QI is the right approach for you. Otherwise, you may need to think about if one of the other methodologies would be better suited. So this diagram is the model for improvement, and it beautifully captures what a QI project entails. It's just 3 questions, which your project team will work through, and then a series of small tests of change, which we call PDSAs. And the model just provides a framework for your project work. So the first question in the model for improvement is, what are you trying to accomplish? Initially, you need to spend some time gaining a good understanding of what your problem may be. So examples of projects could be that you want to reduce the use of restrictive practices, that you want to improve your engagement with carers, or that you want to create some joy in work. Once you've understood the problem, you can be clear about what your aim is. The first question therefore sets the direction of your project. It defines the outcome you wish to achieve, A QI project doesn't continue for an indefinite amount of time. So at this point, you're setting targets in terms of what you're going to achieve and by when. For the waiting time example, the project team will set an aim to reduce the waiting time from receiving a referral to the first appointment from an average of 18 weeks to 14 weeks by June 2021, for example. So the second question in the model for improvement, and it's how will you know that a change is an improvement? Now, change is hard. It's really, really hard. Even when we know it's for the best, it takes real effort to work in a different way to what we're used to. So it's absolutely vital that we are sure that the changes we're making are actually making things better. So we use both quantitative and qualitative data to tell us this. It helps us understand if we want to carry on with the change we've implemented, tweak it slightly, or abandon it if it's not making any real difference. All too often, we bring great ideas, but then fail to actually check if it was all worth it. So this step is really important. So with the waiting time example, the project team will be monitoring average wait times to watch if it starts to gradually creep down as they're bringing in their changes. But if they know that a lot of time is spent gathering additional information from referrers, then they may try out a new referral form. And so the project team will also be monitoring for a reduction in the time taken gathering further information. And that will tell them if their change is worth keeping or if they need to go back and think again. So the third question is, what change can we make that will lead to an improvement? And this is the bit where we get to actually designing changes and trying them out. The plan, do, study, act cycle always starts with a small trial. This could be with one service user, one staff member, one clinic. And as we become more confident that our changes are working, we can then expand them to try to bring in slightly different scenarios. And only when we're sure that we've absolutely cracked it, will we bring it into our daily working life. So if I use my referral example again, there'll be lots of different pinch points and bottlenecks. And a new referral form will hopefully reduce the amount of time that people have to go and request additional information. So we might try that out with one clinician who refers often and that we have a really good relationship. And we'll tweak the form, and it's only once we're happy that actually the form now gives us the information that we need without having to go back and ask additional questions. We might then try it out with a different clinician and expand it and expand it. And we'll gradually build on our confidence that the change is working before it becomes our new referral form. So to undertake a QI project, you will need a project team. QI is not a project that is done by one person. It is always done with a project team. And they are those subject matter experts who are closest to the action and who are able to meet on a weekly or at most fortnightly basis. And during each meeting, you'll be reviewing what you've learned from your last PDSA, what is the data telling you, and then moving on to your next test of change. And remember, QI is not indefinite. Most projects last around about 6 months. And during that time, you're applying a real burst of energy and effort into solving those knotty, difficult problems. But of course, not everything is going to be QI or a formal QI project. The principles and tools that come with the model for improvement can be used every single day. So for example, if your team decides to work in a slightly different way, you could spend some time thinking about how will you know that that change is actually making an improvement? Is there a way that you could trial it first? These are all sound principles to use every day, not just when you're part of a formal QI project. And that's it. It really is a simple approach, but it's also really powerful and empowering. So the key points I'd like you to take away are that there are a range of improvement approaches you can use, but if you have a knotty problem that can't be solved with a silver bullet, then a QI approach could help. The model for improvement that frames a QI project is just 3 simple questions and then a series of small iterative changes that build your confidence and knowledge that you're on the right track. And to implement a QI project, you'll need a small willing team of those people who live and breathe the issue you're trying to solve and will often already have ideas that can be introduced. And that's it. I do hope you will take a few minutes to watch some of our other videos, and if you have any questions, please have a look at the information on our Connect pages. You'll also find our contact details there if you would like to get in touch with us. We would love to hear from you, whether you have any additional questions or if you have a project in mind. Thank you so much for your time. Goodbye.